Welcome to the Girl Sis Man podcast. For the girls we were.
For the sisters we became.
And the women we're becoming. Hello. Welcome back.
Happy summer.
It is summer.
It's officially summer.
It is un verano para ti. I hope you enjoy it. But welcome back to our channel, our podcast. If you don't know who I am, my name is Paola. I'm with my lovely co-host, Miss Esther Alexis.
Why, thank you, ma'am. And if you're new here, go ahead and stop the video, hit the like button, and subscribe, guys. We can't do what we do unless you subscribe. So please let us know how you feel about our podcast, our episodes. Let us know what you want us to be talking about. And if you got something to say it with your chest.
In the comment, but respectfully.
Respectfully, of course. Always that.
Yes.
Always that.
Yes.
So how has your week been?
My week was really nice. I went up to Rhode Island to visit my grandma. It's her birthday. She's a little cancer baby. She is turning 77. God bless her. So we had a good old time yesterday. I just wanted to work Monday through Friday, but guess what? Actually, no, I did not.
You didn't?
Because Juneteenth, I got Juneteenth off. Yes, we celebrated that. So I went to work Tuesday through Friday, and I enjoyed my Saturday yesterday. And now I'm here with my lovely friend Esther. How about your week? Talk to us.
My week was good. I'll say it was good. I think that any week, it's not even like, I know everyone says this, and you're like, oh, it's so cheesy and cliche. Any week that you walk out alive, well, you're healthy, etc., I consider it a good week. Granted, I'm tired, but I feel like I'm always tired. And I'm just happy to be here, especially since it's very clear that you can just go on excursions these days and not end up being here. Obviously referring to, those lost in the submarine incident. For those of you who don't know, if you happen to be living under a rock, that's okay. We're going to let you know what happened.
Break it down for them.
There was a submarine, if you can call it that, because it was made with not necessarily regulated products and materials.
Yeah.
But there was a submarine that went down to explore the remains of the Titanic, and unbeknownst to them, for the full price of $250,000, that is $250,000, they got the full Titanic experience, which included
actually
the watery grave.
A little bit more because it was already underneath the water.
Yeah.
It was like, let's give it a little splash. Yeah, I was shocked. That people paid $250,000 US to go that deep into the ocean. I'm like, what was the purpose? Did you not watch Titanic? Was that not good enough for you?
Here's my thing, and I'm going to be very, very honest.
Yes.
Because I feel like everyone's like, oh, like, why would you even go? Like, what idiot goes into a submarine? First of all, we have naval submarines, right?
But that's different.
It's different. But my thing is, we have naval submarines. We have people who go on, water excursions, those who are like the mappers of the oceans and things. Like,
listen,
people are interested, and I like history. I'm gonna be honest. I like history.
I love history. Would I go submerge myself thousands of feet down under the water where the pressure is so much that I can implode? No.
Okay, see, here's the thing, and this is not...
And pay $250,000 for it? Absolutely not.
But here's the thing. It's easy for us to say we wouldn't do it because we don't have the access or the resources to have had that experience.
Esther, I know for a fact if I had $20 million sitting in my bank account and I had, I don't know...
And I was like, hey, girl, like, let's go do the submarine to do the Titanic.
No. Esther, no. Like, Esther, I would look at you and be like, drogas. Estás consumiendo drogas, ¿verdad? And I would talk to your parents like, I don't know if it's the money that's got to her head, but she's making some dumb decisions. See, here's the thing. My dream, if I could go to a safari in the middle of Kenya and come back, and I know for a fact that I would not get eaten alive by a lion, a cheetah. I wouldn't get ran over by a rhinoceros. The giraffes get a little sassy too. They'll fuck around and find out.
Hippos apparently are the real killers.
Yes, they will.
They are the real killers out here.
But if you said, Paola, I can guarantee you 99.9% you will come back alive, I still wouldn't go because of that 0.01%. The idea of being eaten alive by an animal or ran over by a rhinoceros, chomped up by a hungry hippo. Listen, man, I'm just going to keep watching Discovery Channel, Animal Planet, and keep to myself. And that's something I actually would love to do. That is something, but to go into the depths of the ocean, we don't even know what the bottom goes.
You know what? I'm not even kidding you. Like, I just don't want to be part of like the crowd that goes, this could never be me, because you never know what could be you. Like, I'm gonna be sincere with you. If someone made me the offer, if it was not $250K, or if they had scholarships for kids who were interested in the Titanic, I love the Titanic. I've always been curious as to what happened. I know the Jack and Rose thing didn't actually happen, but I've always been very, very curious to, like, you know.
But there are museums where you can go.
That's the part. Like, there are museums, there are documentaries, there's the movie, which kind of gives you an inkling.
Like, what more do you want?
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. There are different ways that I can see it, and I need not get into the actual ocean to find out. I'll give you that. But I'm like, you know, these people were people who were historians. They were interested in this. Yes, they had a little too much money to spend. That definitely encouraged them to go ahead and do it. But does that make them foolhardy? I don't know.
I think about, a few months ago, when Jeff Bezos was like, I'm going to space. And he's like, I'm like, y'all are dumb. God forbid that rocket just explodes midair. What you gonna do? But I also understand Jeff Bezos probably had so much money that he was like, I need this to be foolproof. But even if someone's like, do you want to go to the stratosphere? You're not even gonna be in space. No, thank you. An airplane is already enough for me.
I'm not gonna lie. I think, let me tell you something. And I travel frequently, but I'm like, that's where I'm gonna have to stop.
Yeah, I don't need to go up there or down there.
I've tried to convince Margaret and Lola to, like, when we've taken, like, vacations, I'll be like, let's go scuba diving.
Absolutely not.
Let's go, because those little underwater motorcycles, and they are so quick to be like, no, do you want me to go or not? Because we're not even gonna have this discussion. And I'm like, I just want to try something new. I just don't blame them for wanting to try something new. Here's what I will say.
I do blame them. I do.
Here's what I will say. Curiosity killed the cat.
It killed 5 cats today. I feel like not too long ago, there was a video about a kid whose parents had purchased a trip to the Bahamas or somewhere in the Caribbean for his graduation. And on a dare, they're like, jump into the water. Mind you, they were on the catamaran. People were drinking. It was dark as hell. And there's sharks in the water. He jumps into the water. They cannot find his body. They had thrown a buoy. Guess what? He thought he saw something, started running, swimming away from it. The current took him. Now, I got a question. That is just at the surface of the water. People could see. You want to go down where no one could see you? I think about people who not only scuba dive, they get in their scuba gear and get into a cage, get dropped to swim with fucking sharks. Are you dumb or are you stupid? Why do you want? What about dancing with death sounds like fun?
That's the thing. Here's where I'm going to, be honest. I'm going to be impartial here. I don't blame them for wanting to discover these things, because I also think that if we're being honest, that's how we make discoveries. Like, we wouldn't know that there were whales and squids and things if people didn't go into the ocean to begin with. You know what I'm saying? Someone has to be the progenitor, the beginner of these things. How do we have the research we have?
I'm gonna push back. Okay, right? Because whales come up. We see them. They have.
But you know what I mean. There are some, like, you wouldn't know that there's, like, what is it called? Like the shelf life, the coral life. You wouldn't know the coral reefs were there if you didn't go underneath the water.
But here's the thing. In the year of our good Lord 2023, we have technology where humans don't have to go that deep. They got cameras to do it for you. And so while they were explorers at heart, they were not explorer by career. They were not doing this for no reason. They just wanted to go see a gravesite. I'm telling you, what if, let's say they had made it, and God forbid there were some spirits hanging in the Titanic.
just floating around under the sea.
Yeah, just
under the sea.
I don't know, haunting them, and then they got possessed, came back up. There was nothing good that could come out of that trip. Nothing good. Yeah. Leave the Titanic in the depths of the ocean where it's been for hundreds and hundreds of, 112 years?
111 years.
Yes, just leave it down there. It's cool. We know it's down there.
Here's what I'll say. Mind a business that pays you.
Yes, ma'am.
I think that we as human beings have this inkling to go further than we're meant to.
Doing the most.
Right. Where it comes to, we got to go to space. We got to go undersea. I'm like, or let's figure out what's going on the land. We've got enough problems up here that we can figure out all together. We need not go into the stratosphere because we can't do anything out there for ourselves. We can barely do anything for ourselves here. So maybe we focus on what's going on here. But I do feel bad for those who have lost their lives. I wish it didn't have to go like that. But I will say too, it does bring into question, like, again, when you go on vacations and things, how seriously are you taking the, warnings that they give you? Another example of this, and it's not the same, but it is the same. I will never forget. I don't know if you remember, a few years back, there was a cruise ship, that you can dock when you do cruise ships. You can do excursions in the same way that you do, resorts and things when you go out. And one of the excursions that was offered for this one girl was, I think it was her 18th birthday. It was a family of 4 that went. It was to go see an active volcano, but it hadn't like actually shot up or done anything in well over 100 and some change years. So it's 2 daughters, a father, and a mom. I think the mom decided to hang back on the cruise ship. She was like, I don't care. I don't want to walk up a volcano. I don't care for this. So the 2 sisters and the dad went because, again, it is the girl's birthday trip. So they go. And as they arrive at the site, they go, I think there's 4 levels to a volcano. There's 1, there's 2, and 2 is when you start like, yeah. And then when it hits 3, it's like it's dangerous. And I think 4 is explosion. I could be wrong about that, but whatever level they gave them for that day, they were like, hey, it's pretty hot. There seems to be some movement down there. We're gonna let you guys know about that. Yeah. But the average person does not have the information. Like, I don't even know what the levels are to the volcano. You know what I'm saying? But they were like, hey guys, like, there is some movement, etc. Sign this waiver if you still want to go. They sign the waiver, they go, they start walking up the volcano, and their guide is like, and he mentions that he's uncomfortable, but he was forced to work because, a job is a job is a job. And he goes, I don't feel safe. The volcano was at X level. You never know when it's going to blow. But people were like, whatever, man. It hasn't blown in 100 years. Whatever. Guess what?
It blew up.
They start feeling the rumblings of the earth. Kid you not, like other guides, he sees them and they're running back, like full speed down the volcano. Like, what's going on? And people are just like, run for your life. Like, it's about to go off. And the thing is, like, you can't outrun Mother Nature for some of these things. You know what I'm saying? So the first thing that came up was like the gas. And even that is hot enough where like it was people. She literally said, I saw, like, you could see people, their flesh were falling off their like bodies. So her dad and her start running. People are jumping off the ships because even the ship can't take off in time for those who are still on it, or by the boat, they can't take off in time. People are jumping into the water trying to save themselves from being burned alive. And it ends up being that her sister dies. Extreme burns, just couldn't do it. Even when the helicopter showed up and stuff, her dad, she wakes up because she's unconscious. She blacks out from the pain. And she wakes up and she hears her dad calling her and her sister's name. And so she calls back to her dad. And so they just kept doing that until they were found for help. So finally, when she picks up, she's like, Dad, there's someone here or whatever. Her dad stops responding. So like, she thinks that he was using all of his strength
to keep her alive,
and she goes, I've always felt bad about it because this was my birthday trip. I wanted to see the volcano, but now she's hideously disfigured. She's burned. Her sister and her father are dead due to their burns. I think well over like several people died. And I think that the company ended up facing a lawsuit because they were like, hey, like, you knew it was at this level. Why didn't you take it serious? And a lot of people were like, you guys should sue. But they signed these waivers that are damn near,
also there was a lack of dishonesty because if you said it's at this level, but it's really at this level.
Oh, they weren't dishonest. They told them what it was. But the thing is,
explain what kind of level that is. Like, it's going to blow up. Like, it's going to happen in, like, the next...
They do. Here's the thing, though. You don't know. Like, no one... Because there are certain volcanoes... Say that it was at level 2. There are some volcanoes that stay at level 2 and don't explode for years. You see what I'm saying? So this one just happened to be at level 2 that day. And they were like, so that means it could or it couldn't. But it had been 100 years and it hadn't exploded.
Gotcha.
So people are taking the gamble that on this day that I go, it also won't explode. It just so happened that was the wrong bet to take that day against Mother Nature. And that's the thing. So when we talk about when we're going out and we are doing these excursions, how much seriousness are we giving the waivers that we sign, the warnings that we're given? Because I'll say, like, I've done the zip lining, I've done the ATVing, etc. And that's definitely nowhere near, as close to the danger level as this, but it makes, like, I've done it. You know what I'm saying? I've hung upside down from zip lines and had a good time. Am I crazy? If I had died and snapped my neck, would I be a terrible human being? Would I have had too much money to waste?
Well, I will say this. I don't think it was funny that people were already making jokes before we knew if they had passed away or not. Even now that we know that they passed away, I don't think it's funny to be memeing people, making light of their situation. It's fucked up. And I think that's something I learned with Kevin Samuels passing away. Lots of people were cracking jokes. You could dislike something that someone does, you could dislike what they think or what they say. But when someone passes away, I think there needs to be a little bit of respect of not too soon, bro. Too soon. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know when the time will be okay to crack some Titanic jokes for them. But I will say, I think there's a difference between that because not everybody's going down to go see the Titanic, right? So zip lining or even the volcano are things that people do often enough where you think the probability is low because based on how many people have done this, it's a safe gamble to go, it's okay to do this, right? The same thing with the volcano. Probably is that it's not going to explode. It could, but the likelihood is very low.
It's very low. That's true.
What was the likelihood? First of all, also, the submarine was made subpar.
Yeah, that's the part I think that like literally had the hairs on my neck.
And so
up.
I will tell
there's
you,
actually a video. Sorry, I don't know if you've seen the video. Of, like,
I didn't see it.
There's a video where this I think he might have been like an ABC reporter because he heard about it years ago, and he goes, "How is this thing controlled? It's literally a game station console." And my brother goes, yo, like any gamer knows you could be in the room with the Wii, with the PlayStation, and that joint will disconnect on you. Like you're slapping the hell out of that console trying to get it back to life.
And it's dead.
Right. Yeah. And he's like, so imagine now you being thousands of feet underwater and me depending on this. He was like, I couldn't depend on that to save my life.
No, that's ridiculous. But so for example, if you said I'm going to go zip lining, right? And I'm like, okay, Esther, I'll go with you. And you do your due diligence, and there's two companies. One that has 5 stars, but it costs you $150. But you see one that says, oh, we got a special for $70. And you see a bunch of negative ass reviews. Hey, they do this. It's the line is kind of faulty, all this stuff. And then you still go with them, and then you snap your neck. I'm going to be like, okay, well, you did that to yourself, right?
You took the risk.
You took the risk, and unfortunately, you saw certain things that would have deterred you from making that choice. But if you said, oh, I went and I did my due diligence and all the reviews are great and for whatever reason there's a freak accident, that's different. It's like going on a roller coaster. We all have heard stories about people who like the seatbelt unlocks.
Yeah, or they get whipped off the Six Flags, which always scare me, but I love roller coasters.
And so those are things where like the likelihood of that happening to you is very low. It's possible, but you take that risk. But based on probability, you feel a bit comfortable. These people, who was going down to the Titanic? Where? Who's the group of people? Even in the movie, they weren't even going in there. They were in a submarine, but they had other things going down there for them because they know they had no business going down that deep whatsoever. So I feel horrible that they have passed away. It was not a necessary trip. No one else has done it. So I really do think they just had way too much money to spend because they were bored.
I will say, though, something that alarms me or kind of makes me raise a brow is that the CEO of the company, I think Ocean Gate is what it's called. I could be wrong, but the CEO of the company was also on board the ship. And it's come to light that he had a previous employee of the company who was in charge of, helping create the submarine that had brought it to his attention that the glass or there are certain parts of the material that they use that are not made to withstand that kind of pressure. But they had done it once or twice and it had been done successfully. And he was like, hey, man, eventually like this, it won't last. You know what I'm saying?
It's not about if it happens. It's about when
it happens. And that's literally what he said verbatim, actually. And he was fired. He was let go. His whole team was let go because they had brought these issues to the forefront. And I wish that in times like this, I wish that they would have whistleblown before this. Like a lot of the times when we have complaints against companies, especially when it comes to our safety, like consumer safety, I wish that people would take the steps necessary to let people know before we got here. A great example of this would be Volkswagen back in, I want to say 2017, 2018. They were sued. They had to pay billions of dollars because they said they were emission friendly when in fact their cars are pushing out some of the worst emissions globally on a global scale. So people were getting sick, like at a higher rate who had Volkswagens. And they lied and people were like, oh, I had been said this, but they fired me. And they're like, well, why wouldn't you go to a newspaper? Why wouldn't you go on social media? Say something. You know what I'm saying? And not that it's up to the employee always to save the day, but say something. I will say, though, in this case, when you walk up to the ship, because there's literally in the reporter video, you look at it and they had like paper tags instead of like, you know what I'm saying? They were like down, like shows like, and I was like, oh, I'm sorry. That would have raised.
I would have been like, actually, run me my money back.
Right.
I'm like, canceling that check immediately.
I'm like, you know what? I just keep it.
I've seen what I needed to see, and no, thank you.
Yeah, I'm like, but no, I'm of the mind now as I get older that there are certain things that I'm just not taking a risk on anymore.
Can I just say this right now? This hood mentality about snitches. Sometimes you gotta snitch. Sometimes first things first. Snitching, or are we telling the truth? Because that's the problem. Is that some of y'all are out here doing foolishness.
Said by a goody two-shoes, snitching or telling the truth. This is why high school was tough for my girl Lola.
Listen, I'm gonna tell. It is the telling the truth. Here's the thing: if you out here doing shysty, shady things, don't get mad when you get got. What is done in the dark will come to light.
Come on,
do not get mad that I so happen to uncover it. Listen, it's the truth. I just think about all these people who end up like not saying anything because they're worried about what would happen to them if they snitched.
Yeah, and then look what happens. People end up dying,
exactly.
etc. It broke my heart.
Snitch.
And as someone
hashtag snitching 2023.
Hashtag tell your truth 2023.
Tell on all these folks. Tell on them. Tell the truth and shame the devil.
Come on, somebody. No, but seriously though, and I my condolences go out to that family, and I do mean that sincerely, because especially as the world is watching and making comments and such, it is so hard to be mourning while also being attacked, while also being, because a lack of empathy was also a whole different comment altogether. But that's for a different time.
Some of y'all are weirdos. I'm like, do you not have a heart?
It's, I think there's so much, actually, there's layers to that.
Yeah.
And I think that's just a different conversation. But my true and honest condolences for those who lost someone.
There's an 18-year-old on the submarine.
There's a kid on there.
Yeah, that's
the thing. Like, I'm like, fine. Be like, oh, the parents suck, or like the CEO sucks. Fine. But there was an 18-year-old boy, was he 17 or 18? There was a teenager on that damn submarine.
Hadn't lived his life yet.
He hadn't even lived yet. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, come on, man. Like, that's the part where I'm like, yo, like, we can joke all we want to joke, but
it's not okay. It's not okay.
This was actually a very sad event.
Oh, for sure.
I will say, though, there was no hesitation from the internet at all.
They were trolling the out of them.
Oh, absolutely. And like, did you notice that Celine Dion's "My Heart Will Go On"? It actually reached over. It was like 1 million.
It was trending.
Several million streams. Like it was like world breaking.
Yeah. You know what it is too. At the same time that this happening, I don't know if you've seen the news about the orca whales attacking boats.
Yes. Oh my God, the orca whales.
They've had enough of us.
Let me tell you something right now. I know it's the Little Mermaid season, and Hallie, I want to support you, girl.
But stay out the water.
Get out of the water. And y'all, everybody always laughs when colored folk don't be going into the water past their kneecaps.
Look at that.
This is why we have survived.
But think about it, right? If you go to the beach and you're just walking and you get to kneecap level and a wave comes, does it not knock you down? And it's not that big of a wave.
Let me tell you something. Those waves?
Well, you'll be eating sand.
You ever seen a riptide?
Yes, ma'am. And honestly, the worst part of all of it is that you're so disoriented. The water is coming up your nose. It's salty as hell. Your eyes are burning. You're trying to breathe. You can't breathe because you're inhaling water. Now you're coughing underwater. Now you're dying. And then you get back up. It happens
so fast.
It happens so fast.
It's so violent and so fast. That's, oh my gosh.
I just think about Moana. I'm like, this is what happens. The water is angry with us. The heart of Tahiti has been stolen. Give it back. Give it back.
I'm telling you, as I get older, I don't even want to say like as I get older, I'm becoming more of a scaredy cat. But as I get older, I think twice about things. Even the Six Flags, like, oh my gosh, like last year during an amusement park, I'm sure that you saw, I think it was Northeastern. There was a boy, you know that thing that goes up and then drops down.
Yeah,
he was apparently too tall and too heavy set. It didn't click. So when he went up, when they start going down, he slid clean out. Like he never had a chance to like grip on anything. Same thing with the roller coasters. You've heard about the Texas roller coaster at the Six Flags. They whip around the bed, and this one lady, I guess she was really thin or the belt wasn't secured enough, slip clean out right around the curb.
Ooh.
And I'm like, as I get older, I'm like, is this an amusement park or is it me dancing with death?
It is you dancing. You know what? I do think twice about things. And even if you don't die on a roller coaster, I don't know how you feel. I never feel good afterwards.
I feel great afterwards.
First of all, I feel nauseous.
Adrenaline junkie is who I am.
Okay, the adrenaline is pumping, but I'm already, like, honestly, if I go to an amusement park, I might get on 1 or 2 rides, and then I'm holding purses. I'm good. I'm great for that. Let's get some soda at the refillable fountain.
I'm not gonna lie. I am the person who wants to sit not at the front of the roller coaster. I'll sit in the front cart, but in the second row.
Smart choice.
This way, if the person before me gets decapitated, I go, oh, okay, bend down. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, oh, okay, I see you're taking a left here. Gotcha. I feel like I have just enough time to save my life. I'm like, but I'm not gonna lie. I'm at the age where I'm like, you know what? This is not a good idea. Like, there are certain, and you know what I realized too? Like, having been in human resources, you read things a little differently. Like, if you read your life insurance policies, and you should, especially if you do it through an employer, you'll find out that there are certain accidents that are not covered by life insurance, like roller coaster accidents, things like that, because they say that technically it's your negligence, right? That caused that death. So it's not like, oh, you know, you died and that's so sad for Dick, Tom, and Sally, your kids. But they're like, this could have been avoided. This death it could have even been instigated by your negligence. So they don't cover it. So please look at your life insurance policies for those of you who don't know. And that's my thing. As we get older, read your life insurance policies, read the waivers that they give you, and ask questions.
Yes. Also, just think as you get older, you really start thinking about like, oh, I could die at any, like, but like tomorrow I could walk outside. A tree branch big enough could fall and hit me in the head. Dead, gone.
You
lights
know,
out.
Actually, there's a kid from Sacred Heart University while I was going there. That's exactly what happened to him.
Oh, well, dang.
Yeah, he was riding his motorcycle and a tree branch just fell. Bam. Right there and then. And I'm like, and that's my thing. Like, the reality is when your time is up, I truly believe your time is up. It doesn't matter the time, the place. God's gonna do what he got to do to get you up here in that time frame. Not a second too late, not a second too early. And so I'm like, you're not immortal anyway, but you might as well, you know, do what you can to make sure that you
preserve yourself.
Right. To keep yourself on the safe side. But I have heart for these people because in my mind, they were historians. I want to believe that they were fact finders.
Sure.
They were historians. They are people who wanted the truth. They wanted to see, and I get it. I actually get it. I just don't understand why I have to go deeper than the whales.
Oh, for sure. That's what I'm saying. I, too, am a historian. I love me some history. I love me some history documentaries. I also value my life.
I do.
And so the past is the past. You can't ever regain it. The present is what you are in right now. And all you have is your future. And I will not be dropped, immersed in thousands of feet underwater, or it is so dark that you can't even see ahead of you.
Yeah, I'm like, it's it's so dark. There's not a lot of life down there. That's the crazy part. Like, that's the one that blows me. I know no one cares about like the science. Like, I've been watching Nat Geo all week after this incident, but earnestly, it blows me away because it is so deep underwater that it's so cold that like sunlight doesn't penetrate it, which means that it's super cold. There's not a lot of life down there. It's dark. You can't see the animals that are the creatures that do live there. Like, they're fishes with like the light bulbs in front of them. They need to have, God gave them their own light bulbs.
And there's a reason why God put them there.
Right. Or they have like the glowing jellyfish because they can't see down there. It's dark. I'm sorry. There's not a dollar amount to get me on that boat. I'm also not that strong a swimmer. Like,
oh, but you, even if you were the best swimmer, you're done. That's it.
You couldn't even Michael Phelps.
Yeah, absolutely not. You're just way too deep. I'm just like, I don't understand. This is not about being an adrenaline junkie. This is you really thinking you can outsmart everything. You must have had so much confidence in that submarine.
Yeah, I'm like, you know what it is? And maybe it's me. I just don't trust a lot of man-made products.
If the Titanic sunk to the bottom of the ocean, why would you think another water vessel would not also have the same,
capacity to do the same vulnerability? Because I think that, we think we're so ahead of the game. We have all these new updates and we have all this new information. And we have all this new intelligence that we apply to things. But I think that sometimes we have to realize like we're still just man. Yep. We're still just human beings. And maybe there are just some things we shouldn't be touching.
Yes.
But I don't know. I'm on both sides of the fence because I'm a historian.
I'm on the right side of the fence. I too am a historian. Don't go down there. There's nothing good.
You could have sent a vessel down there. You could have sent a camera down there. A lot of these documentaries that we see nowadays when it comes to Nat Geo and everything, you stick a camera on a fish or you just put a camera down there. And I wish they had done that. But it seems like curiosity
got the better of them.
Claims another victim today or this past week.
Well, we're sorry about that. And hopefully others will be deterred to make the same mistake.
All we can do is learn.
I mean, speaking of history, we were both historians. What is like the craziest fact that you learned about in history that you didn't learn in school?
So the craziest thing that I did not learn in school was that apparently we convinced Ukraine to disarm. Like they used to have their own nukes and stuff. We, the United States,
you and I.
Let them speak for themselves. And someone, please feel free to fact check me on this. I'm going based off of something that Clinton recently posted during his, like he talked about during his presidency. He's the one that convinced Ukraine to, disarm. He said, don't get your weapons up. If anything should ever happen, we got your back. The USA got you. And now 2023. Yep. Years later, they are being attacked by Russia, and it turns out we do not have them.
We don't.
I mean that we're sending them. Let's not. Let's have nuances here. We are sending them millions. I think even billions. And we're sending them war machines. We're sending them guns. We're sending them jets. I mean, we're doing everything but putting soldiers on the ground because once we do that, it's official on our terms. Yeah. But that one really shocked me because I don't know about you. Maybe it was just me. I was like, why the bleep are my taxpayer dollars? And this is not to say that I don't have empathy for them.
Yes.
But I was like, why in God's name is my money being sent to Ukraine when Joe told me my student loans were on the way to get fixed? What's going on, Joe?
Sleepy Joe, I feel like you're falling off on things.
I had different expectations for him. So when we started sending money to the Ukraine, I was like, why?
Explain.
Why do we feel the need to be a white savior? I thought it was one of those moments. But it turns out we set them up for the fall.
Gotcha. And then they were like, oh, so what's up?
Was good. Do you remember that?
You told me if I ever got jumped,
right,
I call you that you would fight with me.
Right.
They jumping me right now.
Right now. Come in.
Ahora mismo.
Come in. And it actually it really made me really think about politics recently because I'm like, the US has a very interesting setup and it's great for us, right? We get 4 years, you get a new presidency, etc. But it made me wonder, are our allegiances, our agreements only as viable as the duration of the terms that they're created in?
I mean, I think it depends. I feel like if you look at any war, like the war in Afghanistan started 20, 30 years ago, and we just got out of there like 2 years ago in 2022. Was it a year ago?
Yeah, they started pulling out troops.
So, I mean, I do think sometimes, but I think a good chunk of the times, unfortunately, the decisions of a president in his first 4 years don't come to fruition until later down the pike. And that's where we're like, what is going on? He's no longer in office. What you mean we still... It's so crazy that we still say he, because we've only had a male president. But yeah, a lot of the times you're like, well, why is this like this? Oh, back when Nixon started doing this, and that's when, why?
No, but seriously though, and it makes me think of the quote that says, "If you don't understand your history, you're bound to repeat it." Mm-hmm. And even when we talk about sin, I think was it Nixon? Correct me if I'm wrong. He was the one that closed down all the psychiatric wards and hospital because back in the day, when you had a crazy person, you would just stick them in the psychiatric hospitals, etc. And most of our homeless population here in the U.S., over 70% of them have been diagnosed with real psychiatric issues. You know what I'm saying? And so back in the day, they used to be housed in these facilities. And then once he was like, we're not doing this, only private institutions can take care of that. Most people can't afford to, put in a relative or someone who's going through psychiatric problems in those kinds of necessary facilities. And so now we have the homeless population that we do, which is a real issue. And when we think about crime that happens, when we think about, for example, and I'm sorry to loop this back, when we think about what happened on the subway in New York a few months ago, that young man, he was killed. And I don't even, you know what though? I'm like, if someone murdered him, it was the system, the broken system that we live in. I can't even blame the army vet that took him down.
Oh, we can blame him too.
I can't.
I blame them both.
I can't. I'm gonna be
because
honest.
yes, the system has set it up where people like the man who was murdered don't have the resources to address their mental health or their lack of security of home. But you, my sir, no one was doing anything to you. You were not being attacked. He claims that he was being, but he was not.
Here's the thing,
and then you murdered him. And this is what I'm talking about. Like, there's one thing to feel like, oh, I'm being under attack. I'm gonna restrain myself and restrain this person. At what point does your brain now go, oh, this life is about to go out? Here's the thing,
and we might have to agree to disagree on this. I'm not saying what didn't happen was heinous. It was hideous. I don't even watch those videos. They literally they scar me.
Oh, for sure.
But the reality is we live in a day and age where when you are in present danger, no one knows what to do anymore. Like, do I try to defend myself? Do I, try and take on this person who is clearly unwell? And I'm not gonna lie, like, I don't know if it was he coming at people. He was going around apparently causing a nuisance. And what happens when the next person who similar to him, because people have done it previous to him, people who are unwell, who are unhoused, have gone and they've killed someone because they're just not well mentally. Mm-hmm. And no one stopped it, but all they could do was record it. Mm-hmm. Right? We've come to a day and age where the only defense that we have now are our cell phones. And that does not guarantee me walking out alive. Now, we're in a metal tube on wheels. The next stop is in maybe 40 to 50 seconds. I don't know what this young man had in mind when he went to subdue him, right? But in that moment, your adrenaline is pumping. You don't know if it's me or him. And my thing is, I'm just gonna be honest. Like, even in New York recently, there was a homeless guy who pushed a random woman waiting for her subway, pushed her right in front of the freaking train. And like, that guy, he did nothing. He usually was on that platform regularly, yelling at people, asking for money. But that day, he decided his intrusive thoughts won, and he pushed someone. Mm-hmm. Had the authorities come in and removed him, put him in a facility where he could have gotten help, would we be in that situation?
So here's okay. So at one point in time, people would just arrest homeless people for being homeless on the street. That is a violation of your rights, right? And so, yes, I understand that you perceive there are crazy people everywhere, and they are housed, and there are people who are crazy and who are homeless, and so anyone on the subway, whether they're homeless or not, could push you in front of the train, and there are people who are obviously visibly going through something, whether it's like a mental health issue. But I don't think the idea is like, oh, this person is a perceived threat, so I have the right to restrain. Until someone puts their hands on you, keep your hands to yourself.
Understood. I can agree on that.
And so that's where I'm like, and also like, what was the purpose? Like, are you trying to protect yourself? Because it doesn't always have to be me versus him. Like, it's either me or you. First of all, sometimes people just be fighting, and that's the end of it. People are crazy, yes, but I feel like we have gone so far crazy where you hear stories like this kid knocked on the wrong door looking for his brothers and sisters.
And he got shot.
And he got shot. Why would you think that's... Because people feel like everybody are coming to attack them. It is crazy that people just feel like, oh yeah, someone's coming to my house that I don't know them. I'm going to shoot them. We are in... I don't even know what type of matrix, but it's freaking crazy that we have gone so far that everything is a threat. That confuses me.
I agree.
I think people are just prone to violence because I don't understand how...
I don't think people are prone to violence. I think that they've been moved to violence. I think that they've been fear-baited into violence because we have media sources, respectfully, like the Foxes, even like CNN, which they only show the worst parts of any given thing that is happening at any given state in the U.S., right? You never hear news like, and a Girl Scout knocked on a stranger's door and sold all her cookies. No, it's always they knocked on the door and got murdered. Like, you know what I'm saying? You live in a state of constant fear. You never know when you're up next. You know what I'm saying? Literally in the state of Connecticut not too long ago, there were police officers that were called to a house, I believe in Bristol, and it was an ambush. They didn't even know who they were going to send. These two lunatics just called policemen over to start firing at policemen. Do you see what I'm saying? Yeah. So at this point, when you are constantly being inundated with news that, people are just terrible, that things are happening. Yes, use your judgment in the moment to be like, is this a dangerous situation? But that's just because the world that we live in now.
I understand.
You know what I'm saying? Agree. So what I'm trying to say is, and I'm not trying to make it like a political argument, did this man kill? But I'm like, I can understand, right? If he felt like, I don't know what's going to happen next. I wish he had waited, you know what I'm saying? To be like, is this a dangerous situation or is this someone who's just unwell? But when we talk, and I'm going to bring it full back circle here, but when we talk about history, I'm like, perhaps if we hadn't had a president X many years ago who had made, you know, psychological institutions for the unwell, things that only the rich or the well-off could afford.
Yeah.
Maybe we would not be in such a dire situation today with our unhoused population. Because I feel like they are also they're at risk.
Okay, so I agree that if we had better policies, we would have a better system for people who have mental health issues. I just want to clarify that lots of people who are with homes are also coming. Well. So I think sometimes we scapegoat with the homeless. So like, the homeless, they're pushing people in front of the train. Everybody is getting pushed in front by everybody.
That's concerning.
People, first of all, there are plenty of people with mental health issues who will never be homeless because they got the resources. There are plenty of people who are homeless not because of their mental health issues, because they lost their jobs, they went bankrupt, they had an eviction. So I want to be very clear that when we're having this conversation, that while that man who was murdered had mental health issues, there are plenty of people minding their business on the subway who are homeless, and people find them detestable. And so I feel like already when people hear homeless or mental health, they have this wall up that you are this.
But that's what I'm saying.
Let me get there. Let me land. Who already feel like you are a threat. Mm-hmm. So even if he was just like talking gibberish, people are already like, this is gonna be something dangerous. I do think you have to protect yourself, but I do think I want people to understand sometimes we have these biases towards certain types of people.
Absolutely.
And if you're black and you're brown, you understand this completely.
Exactly. That's exactly where I was gonna go with this. In the same way that our skin is weaponized, right? Like you have little boys and girls who are scared of the cops because they know that their black skin, their darker skin is perceived as a threat. Automatically, right?
Yeah.
The same things apply to our homeless population. Do you see what I'm saying? The minute that you are perceived as unclean, haggard, I was going to say ragged, haggard or Hagrid from Harry Potter. Even Hagrid could have been at risk. If a Hagrid pulled up to me in these streets, like what?
Pop you right in the face.
Yo, no, but on a real note, in the same way that black and brown girls are perceived as a threat because of their skin colors, our unhoused population is facing the same situation because of their disheveled appearance, and they're perceived as a threat, right? And the reality is, yes, in our better states of mind, we can be like, this is not a threat to me. This is just someone who needs help. You know what I'm saying? But also, this had, and this is what I'm saying, this had also come months after, like 2 or 3 months after, someone walked into the subway and started shooting shit up. You see what I'm saying? So I'm like, people are on constant guard. Yeah. And again, I am not saying that what happened was justified. I am just saying, as someone who was not in that subway, I can't say if I would have been scared or not. Because there are times, what was it the other day? Oh my God. The other day, I was driving home. I was on the phone with my sister. I'm often on the phone with my sister. I'm driving home. It's by the KFC in the Dutchess. This is Bridgeport, Connecticut. There was a car accident. I go, oh my, it's a car accident. So both the drivers come out. And so here's what it was. So there were these kids biking, these damn kids. There were these kids biking. And so
the kids can't do nothing good, right?
Listen,
because if they're on their bikes, damn kids. If they're on their video games, damn kids.
No, literally, but those damn kids.
Just sit in their corner and don't do nothing.
This kid did not pay attention to the light. This happened, you could tell. These kids were not paying attention to the light, that or they ignored it. So when it was the minivan's turn to go, it's an intersection, she had to slam her brakes to not hit the kid, right?
Oh, dang.
Then the guy behind her plows into her, right? And I'm saying a her because it was a minivan, but it was actually a guy driving it. I don't know why I'm saying that.
Gotcha.
But so then the two drivers get out. The kid gets off his bike because he like throws himself into the street to not be hit by the minivan. The two drivers anyway get out of the van or get out of their vehicles. I'm thinking, oh, well, they're about to exchange insurance. You know, they better call the cops. I kid you not. I'm going to roll down my window like a good civilian to be, do you want me to call somebody? Like, is there anybody? Does someone need help? I'm doing my part. I prepared to roll down the window. All I did was open my lips. Those two grown men start scrapping.
What the?
It wasn't even on some, you okay, fam? I don't know if they exchanged words. Like, what the? You know what I'm saying? Immediately walk out the car. Bah!
Okay.
I was like, asked my sister, this is a real. I started screaming in the vehicle. I started rolling the window.
She's like, drive away. Drive quickly.
And I'm like, yeah. And chaos ensues. And I am like,
what the hell did y'all drink? See, because that's what I'm talking about. People, I just feel like people are just so angry now. They're just so prone to. Because here's my thing, right? You are dumb. The police is gonna show up. So you're like, let me make this situation worse. Let's scrap. First of all, the guy from the back why didn't you plug up? Oh, there's some kids that you didn't try to murder? Because that's what would have happened if you just.
My thing is, I just feel like we live in a society that is plagued with fear. Yes. I would be lying to you if I did not tell you that I do not have fear on a day-to-day basis, leaving my home, walking around, because you don't know when the next thing is going to pop off. You can't even go to a school graduation. Imagine you survived high school in this country because you had to survive high school in this country. You know what I'm saying? You go to your high school graduation and that's when the kid that didn't graduate wants to pop off and start shooting shit up.
I know.
You know what I'm saying? I'm like, that's terrifying. You can't do anything without fear, right? So at this point, you got to be enrolled in martial arts classes. You got to have a weapon on you at all times. It's too much. And so I'm like, we are so riddled with fear, it makes our trigger time, our reaction time too fast. We can't take a beat to be like, hey,
this might not be
a threat. And that's what I'm talking about. I don't think that anyone wants to take accountability that, yes, this thing went hideously wrong. But what led to that?
Also, I think he was a veteran, so I wonder if he had like
PTSD. And no one, and that's my thing.
But I mean, I'm not trying to be rude, but that was not the man who's got murder's fault. You know what I mean? Because like,
I'm not saying it's anybody's fault. But I'm saying I could see how these two human beings, that's who they are at the end of the day. That's what they are at the end of the day. They're human beings with their own past and histories, with their own mental, cognitive setups. And they just had a mismeeting one day and it went terribly wrong for one and even for the other, because there's no way you walk away from this unscathed.
Yeah, because I think about these things and this is why I'm like very like, why do we jump to violence? I think there are a few things in this world that would really like rock me, and being the person who I am, I'm gonna beat somebody up. I've never spoken like that. Like, I think God has given me a very docile spirit in some ways where I'm just like, this is going nowhere real fast. But I always think about like, even if I'm driving, I try to drive as careful as I can because God forbid I could just hurt somebody. I could kill somebody. And I feel like that's something I could never live with. Yeah. And I don't think people walk around. People have this fear of harm being done to them. But where's the fear about you doing harm to others?
Absolutely.
Because I feel like if you walked around with like, oh my, first of all, if I had plowed through that person's car, my friend, are you okay? That's not the first thing that people talk. Like, what did you do? You did it. You don't even check to see if that person's okay. That's the first thing y'all want to do is scrap. Y'all are sick. What? That's what I'm saying. Like, why couldn't this man go like, are you good, sir? What's going? Okay, look around. Okay, the first thing is this is a threat and I got to defend myself because of your fear of being hurt. You guys are out here hurting people left and right because y'all are scared you're going to get hurt first. Yep. And you're doing so much damage and it's cyclical. And you know what? When Jesus comes back, he's going to be very disappointed. And you.
He's going to be more than disappointed. If y'all thought the ass whoopings on the street was bad, wait till you get to hell. Because Lucifer don't give a damn. He said, drop them draws. I'm finna make it rain fire on that ass. All right?
And I'm not trying to sound like I'm holier than thou. Because I think everybody has their breaking point. Exactly. It's actually, real quick, 1 second. I'm back.
Oh, Lord.
But I do believe you should protect yourself. But I do wish people, I feel like we walk around with this chip on our shoulders. You have to protect yourself. I grew up in New York. You know what my mom always told me? Don't be that close to the fucking rail. That was the first thing I grew up on. Also, put your back on the pill. Like, people got pushed back in the 90s into the subway. That's always been a thing. My mom got robbed in the subway. Like, this has always been a thing. Now, are you responsible for other people causing you harm? No, but you walk around and you protect yourself without harming people. You walk around like, okay, cool. I'm not gonna be that close to the railing, to the where the subway.
I'm not gonna give them the opportunity.
Yeah, I'm gonna put my back to the wall. What's up? You're going to have to drag me, and then I'm going to push you in with me.
If I go down, we're going together.
We're going to hang out with some rats down in the tracks. What's up? Like, you know what I mean? And so I want people to take away is like, you can protect yourself without also causing harm. And also sometimes, like you said, when it's your time to go, it's your time to go. You could kick, scream, cry. You got to go, babes.
Listen.
Time's up. TikTok.
Seriously, that is what it is. But what's something that you recently learned in history that you didn't learn in high school? Esther brings it back. Full circle moment.
So I think it was on TikTok or Instagram, because Instagram is just TikToks that finally make it onto Instagram. And they were talking about that. Okay, did you notice that we don't have a lot of mummies in museums?
Yes.
So what had happened was, back in Victorian times in England, apparently mummies produce a powder called mumia, and mumia has been thought to be a medicinal antidote. So people were consuming mummies as a form of medicine, and that's why we don't have a lot of mummies. That's what I learned in history.
What people?
The white people.
I knew it. Because
people from England, and you can gather what you need food from there. But yes, they thought it was a medicine. So they were just like, delicioso, and snatched up all the mummies. I will say that would scare the shit out of me. First of all, we see all these movies about people getting possessed. You are eating another human. You are consuming their spirit. Could you imagine? You are sitting down and you're like, ugh, I'm feeling like King Tut today. Because
that's disgusting. Like that. No, I'm not even kidding. Like,
no, that's what I learned. Isn't that crazy?
Stuff like this made me really like. I really want to like. I'm joking, but like, I want to overcome racial boundaries. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to overcome and be like, we're all like one another in Christ Jesus. We don't do that. Ain't no Caribbean person ever said, on my hungriest day, let me take a piece of somebody else that done died. Like, we have found, of all of, you know what it is? It had to be those from England. Let me tell you why. Because on my list of travel trips, and this is about to sound whatever, man. I ain't never been like, let me go to England and eat some food. When the food is that bland, you start doing anything.
You start sprinkling people on top of your mashed potatoes.
You do. Because I'm like, I promise you, this joint don't run in the diaspora. It won't.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but also
actually don't. Yeah, don't.
Don't.
Keep that to yourself.
Like,
keep it to you. Actually, first things first, stop it. Get some help. just stop.
It sounds like, what's his name? Army Hammer? Homeboy talking about, I just want to bite her, take a whole piece of her cheek. And I'm like,
God. There must be people who are like, you usually like a whole snack and really
they mean it.
Nasties.
And I'm like, I'm at least a meal, mother lover.
I don't want to be anything. Don't eat me. I mean, you can eat me, but don't eat me.
I'm like, it's just so odd how these things escalate.
But yeah, I just can't imagine myself ever thinking that this would be okay. I feel like it's a crime against nature.
It is.
And I want no parts. But I was watching The Last of Us.
Oh my gosh, how is that for you?
It stopped airing in March, but it's a great show. I think you should watch it.
Really? Because I'm not even gonna lie, the guys that Lola hates that I watch the SNG podcast. Yeah, Shits and Gigs. I love them. I think Fire Lord Fuegs, and I think that Jimmy, as he's referred to,
Jimmy Jam.
I think they're hilarious. But they really rated the show. There's so many podcasts that I was listening to. Everybody was like, The Last of Us. This last guy that I was talking to was literally like, it means like so much to me. Like, he's like, I love the video game. I loved the show. He was like, I was literally sick to my stomach when they mentioned. He was so passionate about it. And I was like, you didn't text me this morning. You're so passionate about The Last of Us. He talked for like 3 hours about it. But I was
like, say hello, good morning.
I'm still waiting for my good morning text.
Just went straight to The Last of Us.
I was like, this is The Last of Us.
I'm going to spoil it a little bit for you. So in one episode, the main character, Ellie, and Joel come across a group of people. Well, Ellie does. And it's like a little Christian group. And they're in the post-apocalyptic world. And they're just making do. They're making by. And Ellie's in the kitchen. They're making meat or whatever. And she sees in the corner a pinky. They had been eating people, the people that died, because there was no meat. And I just thought, those poor people who did not know, they're out here eating their compadres. I would be so beside myself. First of all, I'm gonna murder you for feeding me my dead daddy. What's wrong with you? But I'm just like, why would you do that to me? Yeah, I just feel like I would just wither. I'm like, I'm good. I don't need to eat. I'm fine.
I'm like,
I don't even need to drink water.
Listen, I know I wouldn't make it.
I would not. First of all, I would have to do some unholy things. I would have to prostitute myself to last in the zombie world. Because here's the thing. I'm not running very fast. I'm not hunting. I'm not climbing any trees. So I'm going to have to find me a man and be like, hey, I'll wash your clothes, daddy. Like something. Because I would have to figure out a way. Because like, I'm just, or we would go back to like hunters and gatherers and like, cool, I'll gather some plants. I'm good. But
she would gather the worst plants. Like she'd be like, oh, look, a dandelion.
This sounds like it'll make some great tea. But yeah, I would not hang. I just would not, unless I went to a boot camp and then I just became like the fiercest biola there was. But even then, I'm just like, this is not for me. Like, I'm like, I don't really want to do that.
I don't. I'm just gonna have to go with grace. I just want to go with grace, however I go.
Unless God sends me a man who's like, I got this, babe, and goes Rambo.
Oh my God! Speaking of God sending us men, this is what's the segment that it was called? I can't believe this, or can you believe this?
Can you believe this,
guys? I have a problem.
You have? I can't believe that. What is the problem? What's the problem?
I can't believe I'm confessing this, but I think I have a problem. I can't even articulate this. Guys, I've been on the apps, even though I said I wouldn't go back. I did mean it, but I'm 27 years old. I have no money and no prospects. I'm already a burden to my parents, and I'm so scared. I'm frightened.
I'm right with you, girl.
So I've been on the Hinge, and I don't know why. I've been telling Margaret and Lola this. For some reason, the white men love it. They
want a choco mommy.
Listen, okay. And so they all have a thing in common, though. They are conservative young white men.
Maybe that's where your heart lies.
And I'm always like, I'm gonna convert them. Okay. I'm gonna bring them to the center. We're gonna be a bipartisan couple.
Well, you guys could be bipartisan and have like deep conversations over dinner. I think you would quite enjoy it. You would have someone who could have a little back and forth with.
I don't know if I want to go home and have back and forth with somebody unless we back and forth in the sheets. You know what I'm saying?
That could lead to the back and forth in the sheets. Sometimes people be arguing.
I can't be like the children in cages need to be free. You be like, shut up, woman, make me a sandwich. Okay, spicy. Like I can't see it.
Well, what if they're like fiscally conservative, but like don't, or like they're libertarian?
I don't know, gang.
Listen, maybe
I'm running out of hope.
Maybe you just need to tap into that market.
Listen, this is my bad signal.
Maybe you gotta give Candace Owens for her money.
Listen, let me say something. People are not gonna like to hear this.
That you love Candace Owens.
I did not say I love Candace Owens. Don't be talking crazy out here.
She has a poster of her in her room.
That is a lie. Listen. Candace Owens, whether you like it or not, is a smart woman. Smart. I didn't say she was diabolical. I could say that there are times that she is diabolical. I could believe that. Yeah. But I'm like, when Candace is right, Candace is right, and I'm gonna leave it there.
Okay.
But when she's wrong, that bitch is wrong too. I'm a quality. I'm a moderate. I really do believe in bipartisan politics. I feel like we have to be in the middle in order to be successful. But I will say, when Candace is right, Candace is right. And I'll elaborate on that more on Body of an Extrovert. I have an upcoming episode that I want to do.
Shameless plug. Are you following Body of an Extrovert?
You need to be. But yeah, I don't know why this seems to be my demographic. I don't know what I'm posting incorrectly.
Stop fighting it.
Well, not if they eating mummies. I can't. That could be my mummy you eating. Like, no. We'll see.
That was back in the olden. They don't do that no more. They don't. I wholeheartedly believe.
I'm gonna give it to the Lord in prayer.
Just maybe God wants something else for you, and that's okay. And who are you to tell God that your husband's not a white man. Who are you?
So long as he loves me.
Exactly. Stop fighting it.
I'm already 27 years old.
I have no money
and no prospects. I'm already a burden to my parents.
And I'm scared.
I'm frightened.
I'm all alone in the corner of cold waiting for you.
But y'all, if y'all know what I'm doing wrong, please feel free to let us know. Let us know how you like this podcast episode. Feel free to comment, fact check us, correct us if need be. But we're only going to reply to you if you are subscribed, if you are following.
Yes.
And make sure that you're following us on Instagram too, at the GSM Podcast.
Please do.
This has been Esther Alexis.
This is Paola Fernandez.
And we're signing off, y'all.
Peace.